Welcome to the next installment in the LIS 198 webinar series. Today's topic we will be discussing is public engagement, digital scholarship, and the Longtail. My name is David Quiroga.
My name is John Calooy. What is public engagement? Public engagement is defined by the Higher Education Funding Council for England, or HEFCE, as public engagement involves specialists in higher education listening to, developing their understanding of, and interacting with non-specialists. The public includes individuals and groups who do not currently have a formal relationship with an HEI or an higher education institution through teaching, research, or knowledge transfer. Hart, Northmore, and Gerhardt, 2009, summarize 7 dimensions of engagement. 1. Public access to facilities. 2. Public access to knowledge. 3. Student engagement. 4. Faculty engagement. 5. Widening participation. 6. Encouraging economic regeneration and enterprise and social engagement. And lastly, institutional relationship and partnership building. Examples of these are universities allowing public use of their resources, Bill Nye having television shows explaining science, quiz bees between faculty and students, businesses participating and including in their advertisements current issues, and many more.
The Longtail. The Longtail is a concept first written about by Chris Anderson in a blog for Wired magazine. He would later on write a book about this concept. The Longtail takes a lot from the power law, or the Pareto distribution, which basically states that 80% of the demand is satisfied by 20% of the supply. All the popular blockbuster movies are only 20% of the available and produced movies. The idea of the Longtail is that the internet has made the other 80% of the supply accessible and has addressed the niche and minority tastes. Examples of these are Netflix, Amazon, and YouTube. Netflix has given movies that would have failed on traditional feeders a platform to succeed. Amazon has given sellers the opportunity for business where traditional stores would not be viable. And YouTube has provided a platform for videos and creative ideas that would not have been traditionally produced to films or television. Listed here is some of the content a university outputs and their corresponding open digital network outlets. One good example of open access platforms is SourceForge. SourceForge is an online repository for software projects used by developers around the world. They connect developers to work on like-minded projects and in some cases even find clients and buyers for the software developed in SourceForge. Another platform we want to highlight is TED Talks. TED Talks have provided a platform for the online distribution of seminars, leading to a broader audience that isn't limited by geography. The seminars on TED Talks have reached millions of views, which is unrealistic in a face-to-face seminar setting. That doesn't mean that TED Talks have done away with the traditional format. They have merely expanded the reach of these typical seminars. Presented here are some characteristics of the Longtail. First characteristic is low cost to free. The cost of actual publishing is very low or free since most of the cost is on the actual research. Next, small but predictable audience. The Longtail format typically has small, niche audiences but can lead to unexpected hits and reach. Next is the open filter. Technically, there is no publisher in the Longtail and only platform, so anyone can publish. Next, no compromise. The academic can be as general or detailed as needed since there is no associated cost to publishing in the Longtail. Next, the high reuse potential. The Longtail has a higher reuse potential in comparison to traditional forms, since traditional forms are in a format that is not reusable or is prohibited by copyright, whereas online artifacts can easily be used in many different contexts. And lastly, the different distribution. Such outputs in the long tail are often distributed through search and social networks. Creating the environment conducive for long tail. In order to encourage the frictionless type of output in Longtail, universities can perform several functions in parallel. The first function is staff development. It is important that staff development is focused on empowerment and liberation rather than training in specific softwares. It is best for the staff to have a firm foundation of the basics, and then allowed to have a diverse range of projects encouraging creativity. The second function universities must engage in is the removal of obstacles to the production of said output. The most prominent example of an obstacle is promotion criteria, which generally focuses on publishing in traditional outputs. The stigma of open, digital, and networked approach to research should be removed and be accepted by both senior management and colleagues. The last function is the provision of educational and institutional context. It provides recognition and increases the profile of both the individual researcher and the institution. That is all for this topic on the long tail. Thank you for listening.